You're standing in a crowded living room, balancing a plastic cup in one hand while music rattles the walls around you. The conversation drifts from college classes to jobs, then eventually to the future. Someone asks what you want to do with your life. For a second, you hesitate. You know how it sounds, but you say it anyway. I'm starting a clothing brand. The room goes quiet. Then somebody laughs. Not in a cruel way, just enough to make everyone else laugh too. One friend smirks. Who would buy clothes from you? Another shakes his head. Bro thinks he's the next big fashion designer. You force a smile. You laugh with them. You pretend it doesn't bother you. A few minutes later, everyone is talking about something else. But on the drive home, you can't stop thinking about it. Streetlights blur across the windshield. The radio hums softly in the background, and for some reason, their words keep replaying in your head. Who would buy clothes from you? It's a fair question. You're 19. You don't know anything about fashion. You don't know anything about business. You don't know anybody successful. You don't even know where to start. But what none of them knew, what none of you knew, was that 6 years later, you'd be standing inside a warehouse filled with thousands of orders. And tonight would become the night everything started. The next morning, you wake up with the same feeling, that uncomfortable pressure in your chest, the feeling that your life is supposed to become something more. You look around your bedroom, laundry piled in the corner, posters on the wall, a cheap desk covered in random clutter. So later that week, you open your laptop and begin researching clothing brands. Hours disappear, then days, then weeks. Every brand you admire started somewhere. Some began in garages, some started with a few $100s, some began with people who knew even less than you. For the first time, the dream feels possible. Not easy, just possible. You sketch ideas during class. You scribble logos into notebooks. You stare at blank screens for hours trying to think of a name. Most of your ideas are terrible. Some are worse. But eventually you settle on one. It feels real. For the first time, the thing inside your head has a name, and somehow that changes everything. Now it isn't just an idea, it's something you're building. Your first designs are awful. You know they're awful, but you create them anyway. Late nights become normal. While everyone else is watching movies, playing games, or going out, you're sitting in front of your laptop making tiny adjustments nobody will ever notice. Weeks later, you finally order samples. The package arrives on a rainy afternoon. You rush home. Your hands shake while opening the box. This is it, your first product, the first thing you've ever created. You pull out the shirt, and your stomach drops. The quality is terrible. The print is crooked, the sizing is wrong, the fabric feels cheap. Everything about it is disappointing. For a few minutes, you just sit there, silent. You spent months imagining this moment, and it feels awful. Part of you wants to quit right there, because quitting would be easier. Nobody expects anything from you anyway. Nobody would care. But later that night, you open your laptop again and start over. Months pass, then more months. Small improvements, tiny victories. Progress so slow it's almost invisible. You launch your website. You stare at the screen waiting for sales. Nothing happens. Hours pass. Still nothing. Days pass. Nothing. The silence feels louder than failure, because at least failure means someone noticed. Nobody notices. You refresh the page constantly, checking analytics, checking traffic, checking orders. Nothing. The excitement begins fading. Doubt replaces it. Maybe your friends were right. Maybe nobody wants this. Maybe you're wasting your time. One night, you're lying awake, staring at the ceiling. You start calculating. All the hours, all the money, all the effort. And suddenly, you're terrified. Terrified that years from now, you'll still be exactly where you are, still dreaming, still waiting, still wondering. The thought keeps you awake until sunrise. Then something happens. Not a huge moment, not life-changing, just a notification. One order. A complete stranger bought your shirt. You stare at the screen, reading the name over and over. You don't know this person. They don't know you. Yet somehow they trusted something you created. You package the order yourself. You drive it to the post office. The entire trip feels surreal. One order won't change your life, but it changes your belief, because now you have proof. Someone bought it, which means someone else might too. And that possibility becomes addictive. You start pushing harder. The brand slowly gains traction. A few customers become repeat customers. Friends begin noticing. Not all at once, gradually. People who once laughed start asking questions. People who ignored your posts begin liking them. Nothing dramatic, just small shifts, the kind that only happen after years of consistency. Then social media begins helping. A video performs well, another one follows, then another. New orders start appearing daily. Your phone buzzes constantly. For the first time, momentum arrives, and momentum feels different than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Momentum pulls you forward. Even on the days you're exhausted, you move into a small workspace, nothing fancy, bare walls, folding tables, stacks of inventory. But when you unlock the door each morning, it feels incredible because it's yours. Every box, every order, every late night, every mistake, you built it. At 22, life feels completely different than it did at 19. But success brings new problems, bigger orders, bigger responsibilities, bigger expectations. The pressure never disappears, it simply evolves. You begin working longer hours than ever. Vacations become rare. Weekends stop feeling like weekends. Friends drift away, some move on, some stop calling, some quietly resent your obsession. You miss birthdays, you miss parties, you miss moments. And occasionally, when the building is empty and the lights are off, you wonder whether it's worth it. But your life no longer moves at the same speed. Years continue passing. The brand grows. A few employees become a team. A few shelves become an entire warehouse. The operation becomes bigger than anything you imagined. Yet strangely, your biggest transformation has nothing to do with money. It's confidence. Not the loud kind, not arrogance. The quiet confidence that comes from keeping promises to yourself. Because every difficult moment left evidence. Evidence that you can survive setbacks. Evidence that you can figure things out. Evidence that you don't need certainty before taking action. The person who started this journey wanted success. But what you actually gained was belief. Belief that you can build things. Belief that you can create your own opportunities. Belief that your future isn't predetermined. And one afternoon, 6 years after that house party, you're standing inside a warehouse. Rows of shelves stretch across the building. Boxes stacked high. Employees moving between stations. Orders printing nonstop. Thousands of packages preparing to leave. For a moment, everything slows down. The noise fades. The movement fades. And your mind drifts back. Back to that living room. Back to the laughter. Back to the drive home. Back to the version of yourself who had absolutely no idea what was coming. You smile, not because people were wrong, not because you proved anyone wrong, because the kid they laughed at kept going. That's what matters. You walk through the warehouse one final time before heading home. The sun is beginning to set outside. Golden light spills through the windows. The building grows quieter. You pause near the loading dock, watching trucks pull away into the distance. The air smells faintly of cardboard and fresh fabric. And for the first time in a long time, you allow yourself to stop thinking about the next goal, the next launch, the next milestone, the next challenge. You simply stand there, present. Years ago, freedom felt like some distant destination, something hidden somewhere beyond success, beyond money, beyond achievement. But now you understand. Freedom was never a place. It was becoming the person capable of building the life you imagined. The warehouse behind you is proof. But the real victory happened long before this. It happened every time you kept going when nobody cared. Every time you started again after disappointment. Every time you believed in a future you couldn't yet see. The sun disappears below the horizon. The parking lot empties. The city lights begin flickering awake. And as you walk toward your car, you realize something strange. The future version of yourself you've been chasing all these years has quietly become the person walking beside you.